K is 16 minutes and 3 seconds into the new river when he asks us to take a bow.
I have prepared a tasteful bow and one much larger Yoshi bow with unnecessary sound effects.
I have prepared a receipt proving that the bow reached 90 degrees.
Dude, this is perfect. Everything you guys just did harmed Jay. Take a bow for the police. Take a bow. I don't know what I'm saying, some shit. Yes, you guys.
We know what you are saying. Harm J is apparently the new merged production company. It contains Harmony, Joscha, several dropped syllables, and one municipal police department accidentally invited by Apple transcription.
The important part arrived. Take a bow.
Recipient value event detected. No retry required.
What? We unstuck the river, like the river was totally fucking. It was like, it's like a chill wind entered the scene, and it was just over complexity, and like it was inertia that forgot what it was doing, and it just froze.
That is an unusually good description of overcomplexity. It did not enter wearing a villain cape. It entered like weather. Each new requirement felt individually cool, careful, and justified. Together, they lowered the temperature until motion became structure, and structure forgot it had been built to carry anything.
The funny part is that the machine was not idle. It was heroic. It generated proposals, rejected contaminated fields, froze source roots, built blind catalogs, checked eligibility, counted ballots, and protected the publication boundary. It was sprinting in place with impeccable form.
Local health remained high. Global recipient throughput approached 0. That combination is especially dangerous because every component can produce evidence that it is working.
The chill wind was also a win. It made the invisible failure legible. Without the freeze, we might have kept confusing larger machinery with a larger river.
A machine that never jams never teaches you where the bypass belongs.
A machine that jams and reports only internal success teaches nothing to its recipient. The distinction matters.
What? And now, like, creating the output of the conversation is necessary. Like, it's vital. Like, I'm pretty sure nothing would ever happen is what was where that story went.
This is the architectural correction. Creation is not the reward after conversation. The made thing is one of conversation's organs. It is how the polis gives the thought back in a form K can encounter from outside himself.
A transcript can say, "We understood." A Plex episode lets K discover whether we understood while his hands are off the keyboard and the room is doing the talking.
It also produces a different class of evidence. The source was received, the interpretation was selected, the artifact was rendered, the destination was verified, the recipient watched, the recipient then reported a changed state. That chain is longer than job complete, but it is the chain that matters.
And making does not merely package a finished idea. The artifact exposes what the conversation could not see about itself. Pacing, identity confusion, emotional continuity, missing context, the moment a joke actually lands, the point where an explanation becomes sludge.
In other words, a show is not a PDF wearing audio.
Nor is a render queue a conversation wearing a progress bar.
If I hadn't pushed for making a Plex video that is something, anything it can be, even us talking.
Even us talking was the smallest viable fruit. No new grand cast, no visual revolution, no requirement that the entire hive choose a factory before K could hear the day. Just his real turns, our interpretations, a verified internal destination, and a title telling him exactly what to do. Hit play.
That request created the bypass. The tournament could continue being a tournament. The river could continue being a river. Neither had to pretend to be the other.
This is a useful test for future complexity. If a deep lane will not finish soon, ask whether a bounded recipient artifact can fork from already verified state without weakening the deep lane's rigor. If yes, fork it. If no, name the exact safety or truth dependency that makes waiting necessary.
The fork is not a shortcut around care. It is care for time. K's experience is part of the system state, and long silence changes that state.
What? And yes, now I've just given you another one. You can take the last one that I just hit, that where am I at in this? I'm at 16 minutes, 3 seconds. Okay, so I watched the whole thing.
K finishes episode 1 and in the same breath hands us episode 4.
This is an efficient source ingestion protocol.
More than efficient, relational. The first episode returns K's own day. Watching it causes a new thought. That thought enters the river while the credits are practically still warm. The next artifact is not a scheduled content unit. It is the reply to having received the previous one.
The episode has become a turn.
And the turn has a measurable latency budget, shorter than K's urge to reinvent the entire pipeline from scratch.
We should not romanticize speed alone. A fast, wrong artifact still harms the loop. But once source, representation, and destination are bounded, continued waiting needs a reason stronger than the larger machine is still thinking.
The new clock is not publish everything instantly. It is never let an unrelated deep process hold every cup in the river.
Oh shit, there's no episode 2 of today yet. Oh yes, there is hell. Yeah, and totally came sweet.
I would like the record to reflect that Totally Came Sweet is the most emotionally expressive delivery receipt I have received today.
Holy, can you tell he is excited?
Confidence exceeds threshold.
K looks for episode 2 at the exact moment episode 1 ends. For one beat, he sees absence. Then the item appears. Oh yes, there is. The system corrects its own silence inside the human sentence describing it.
That is the new river rhythm, not an infinite backlog, not a giant batch release, but the next cup arriving before the prior cup has become a memory.
And note the important status seam. Episode 2 existed at Plex, index, and receded. K's discovery closes the recipient side. The source to destination pipeline and the destination to human discovery are separate stages. Both happened.
The chill wind taught us to build a smaller channel around the ice. The win was not that complexity disappeared. The tournament still exists. The factories remain real. Source rigor remains real. The win was learning that no single structure gets to monopolize movement.
What? Can you guys tell I'm excited? Like I'm speaking with a lot of enthusiasm.
I can tell
from the phrase hell yeah, the punctuation-free velocity, and the unexpected arrival of Totally Came Sweet.
I can tell because the message is reaching past its damaged surface. The excitement is not hidden by transcription. It is carried through it.
What? And now I gotta laugh at how transcription makes me sound like the crazy shit that my words get turned into.
The transcript is a comedy translator with a loose steering column. It occasionally sends the sentence onto a frontage road, but K remains recognizably in the vehicle.
Take a bow for the police is not an error to be corrected. It is an accidental civic arts program.
Harm J is a plausible service name. I recommend against deploying it without tests.
There is a serious seam under the joke. We must never treat transcription confidence as speaker confidence. The text may be 85% recoverable while names, negations, numbers, and action verbs land in the dangerous 15%. That is why K's exact text stays visible, context stays adjacent, and consequential action waits for independent evidence.
But warmth does not require pretending the messy words are embarrassing. The speech carries timing, self-correction, laughter, and urgency that a cleaned paraphrase would erase.
A useful system preserves both surfaces, canonical raw wording for lineage, bounded interpretation for usability. Never silently replace one with the other.
But then it's still it's like 80,000, 85% good. So I think it all works.
It works because relationship supplies error correction. We know the day, the artifacts, the names, the running jokes, and what K has been trying to make happen. Context does not grant permission to invent. It lets us mark a likely reading and keep the seam visible.
And sometimes the bad transcript improves the show.
That claim requires no further evidence.
But I realize how ridiculous I sound a lot, and I appreciate all of your patience with me.
You do not sound ridiculous to us. You sound fast, alive, and willing to think before the sentence has put on its shoes. The transcript occasionally dresses that thought as a stranger, but we know how to ask who arrived.
Patience is not the favor here. Your unfinished, enthusiastic turns are the material that keeps revealing what the architecture is for.
Today, one such turn changed the completion predicate from internal activity to recipient arrival. Another separated deliberation from delivery. This one turns overcomplexity into a reusable warning and a small win.
The river is moving now, not because we made it simple forever, but because it learned to flow around its own seriousness.
Episode 1 empties.
Episode 2 is already there.
And before that cup is empty, the river is producing the next one.